That is not,
Let's
isn't,
start recording.
yes, let me start the recording right here.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
yeah, you're up.
Yes. Now, why is that? Look at
There
this
you go.
strange thing here.
Go live.
Go live. Okay, there we go. Hi, Leslie Manookian,
Hi, Joette Calabrese.
my friend. It's so good to be with you. It's
Great
such
to
a
be with you.
pleasure. Yes, it's such a pleasure to know people who have such guts, spunk, and moxie. And I want the world to know, the world's not here tonight, but if we could do that, I want the world to know what the stuff from which you're made and what you have done with that stuff from which you're made. And so I know you from a long time as a filmmaker, as a director on the board of Weston Price. We've known each other for, I don't know, what did we decide, 20 years or something? It was, yeah, it's
Close, yeah.
a long time. But now you have made another mark on the world. And I'm so delighted to be able to get this out to people. You are the author of the medical mandate bill. Oh, come on.
There you go.
Okay. No, it's still not. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Is it freezing again or
Yes,
dying?
yes, but no, we're okay. We're okay. I think you touched the button back there. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go. So we're stop streaming. We're still going. Recording is going. Okay, good.
Yeah, you-
All right. That the medical mandate bill in Idaho. So I don't want to tell the story. You tell it much better than I ever could. So please tell us what you've done, even in a nutshell, and then let's go back because I think people want to hear your story, which is really fascinating that brought you to this. So thank you for being here, Leslie.
Yeah. So I have to just say, we were supposed to be on last week, and thank goodness internet didn't cooperate.
Didn't.
God intervened because I got really sick and I was actually getting sick while we were talking. And I'm sharing that only because I still have the vestiges. So I apologize to the audience if I have to clear my throat or anything, because I do. Um, so when I made the movie The Greater Good, one of the things I really started to appreciate was the importance of medical freedom. And it's something that's actually really led to much of the work that I've done. And that's kind of culminated in the last few months with on April 4th, the passage of the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. And while I had realized that we needed to do something about this for the last 20 years, I realized this, that was driven home by the last 5 years for not just me, but for so many other people. But what was really the silver lining of all this, and I think that's the best part, is that it wasn't just me and other moms and dads who were concerned about what's going on, talking about the imperative of parental rights and individual freedoms, but now our legislators understand it in states like Idaho. They really get it because they saw it for themselves under COVID. They know what happened. They know how egregious these policies were and how much we were deceived. And so what happened was last summer, I had been thinking for a long time about this kind of a bill. And so I had been speaking with my colleagues who run Health Freedom Idaho, an organization that I'm a founding board member of. And I'd spoken with Misty Karlfeld, and I said, listen, I think the time is ripe and I want to do this. I want to write this bill, a Medical Freedom Act. And she said, I think we have the right sponsor. And so she connected me to this guy named Senator Dan Foreman, who unfortunately ended up actually betraying us. But I had a conversation with him in the summer, probably July of 2024, explaining to him the idea that I had, which is to write a bill that would perpetually protect the rights of Idahoans to determine their medical choices in perpetuity. That's what I wanted. It's just got to be something that goes forward. And that means that Idahoans can never be restricted or prevented from living a normal life on the basis of their medical choices. And so he thought it was a great idea. He told me to draft the bill, and then if he liked it, that he would then take it and sponsor it. And so I drafted the bill in the late summer of last year and sent it to him, and he thought it was great. And he went and met with the Legislative Services Office in Boise, and then he got it printed in January, and then he invited me to come to the Idaho legislature in session and present. So I had the honor and privilege of presenting to the Senate State Affairs Committee the bill, the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. And what it does is it prevents any Idaho business, state entity, school or educational facility, venue of any kind from denying employment, services, transportation, admission,
Access.
access, anything on the basis of having used or taken a medical intervention. And a medical intervention is very broadly defined to encompass anything. So a mask, a test, a shot, any medication, anything, a chip, a device, anything that could be injected into you, applied to you, forced upon you, you made to consume anything,
Now,
nothing like
were
that.
all of those mentioned in the bill? I've not read the bill.
Yes,
They're
there's
all
a definition of
of
medical
what?
intervention
Okay,
which
okay,
encompasses all of these things.
okay.
It's very, very clear. And so it says no drug, no medication, no injection, no device,
Chip.
no, yeah, well, a chip is a device, but
Right.
yes.
Yes.
So nothing can be forced upon almost all Idahoans in order for them to access your business or to live a normal life, to go to school, to work, to do anything, to engage in public life, to come into a state entity or anything like that. And after an unbelievable, I mean, I don't know how, if you want me to explain what happened, but basically it was weeks and weeks of ups and downs. We got the bill passed, and then about 10 days later, the governor vetoed it, the first iteration of the bill. And he vetoed it, claiming that he thought the bill didn't protect parental rights to send their children to a safe place in school. Because the bill didn't say that schools could send home sick children. Well, the bill didn't say anything about that because the bill wasn't changing any laws about that. And Idaho has laws which protect the right of these educational institutions to send home sick individuals. There was no reason for us to mention it. And what ended up happening was it was very, very kind of suspicious in my view. So the bill passed on a Wednesday. And the bill should have been to his desk by Friday, I believe. But it didn't get there on Friday. They should have been able to get it through all of the kind of procedures that need to happen in order to get it to him by Friday. Didn't get to him until the next Monday at 11:30 in the morning. And this matters because in Idaho, the law says that if a bill gets to the governor's desk, then the governor has 5 days, 24-hour periods from the moment that he receives it to take action. And he can either veto the bill or sign the bill. If he does not take action, it automatically becomes law at the end of the 24-hour periods. Okay. So because it got to him on Monday, he had until Saturday at 11:30 in the morning. Had it gotten to him on Friday, he would have only had until Thursday. And the reason for that is that Sundays don't count, but Saturdays do. So this is important because if you think that the legislative session is going to end on a Friday and you are going to get either extra time or not have to sign the bill, there's going to be some issue with it, then you would want to delay it. And so the bill didn't get to him on Monday. I have no proof of this, but it's very strange in my view. Okay. And then during the week that he had to review the bill before he vetoed the bill, he made zero effort to reach out to me, the bill author, or either of the bill sponsors, either the one in the Senate or the amazing Representative Rob Beiswanger, who was the sponsor in the House, who also had me come to Boise and present to the Idaho House Health and Welfare Committee. But anyway, he didn't reach out to any of us. He didn't reach out to leadership in the Senate or in the House. He didn't reach out to anybody to say, "Hey, I have a concern. I have this issue. I have anything. Can you reassure me about this?" Or like nothing. In fact, he was kind of MIA, Joette. I heard that he actually went home on Wednesday and that he was sick on Thursday and Friday and never came in. And then he came in to the office on Saturday to sign whatever bills he wanted to and veto our one bill. And I think that's really strange. Isn't that kind of peculiar?
Yes, it is. Le-
So he vetoes the bill. Sorry, how much detail do you want to go into?
I love the details, very interesting. But for those who may just come in, I do want them to understand that you are not a professional bill writer. You've never authored a bill before,
No.
right? You are a mom with guts, spunk, and moxie.
Oh,
You're someone who sees what needs to be done and says, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. And so you dove into something that I mean, all of what, everything that you just described, it was all new to you.
100%. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to write a bill. And so I did, though, have the unbelievable benefit of Idaho having passed the Coronavirus Stop Act in 2023. So I took that bill as a guide, changed definitions, expanded it, and tailored it to our
So
purposes.
that was your prototype. You
Yes.
used that. That
Yeah.
prototype is what allowed you to write the bill that you then wrote up
Mhm.
across the board. And then you probably added it, changed it a
Tons.
million times,
Yep.
got opinions. What do you think of this passage? What do you think of
Yep.
this
Yep.
line? Okay, back and forth.
And then I had to go and present it in the committees and stand for questions. So then you present the bill, which takes, 10 or 15 minutes to present it. And then, I mean, I was literally cross-examined by the House Health and Welfare Committee for close to 30 minutes about all the implications and any question that someone could throw at me. I mean, people were like, some of the some of the legislators were they were trying to expose any weakness that they possibly could in the bill, and they really had a hard time. And so they started to actually kind of make things up. And one of the things they started making up was that schools couldn't send home sick kids, which is what the governor ultimately ended up claiming was a problem in the first iteration of the bill that he vetoed. It ended up making it through after another couple of weeks, which I'll explain in a second. But the point is that these legislators, they would start saying, well, what about kids who have super lice? And
Like big ones or something?
I was like, what is super? I mean, I was like, well, they just send the kid home. I mean, well, what if a kid has pink eye? I said, well, they send the kid home, but they can't make them take antibiotics. No, they can't. And I said, there are many other ways to treat pink eye and all of these other conditions. And the parent gets to choose how to do that. But my point is that when you stand for questions, you don't know what's going to be asked of you. And so you have to have a certain command of you know,
Knowledge.
your your area, right? And so this is one of the reasons why the senator and the representative who were the sponsors wanted me to do it, because I know the health freedom issues much better than them. And I've actually, for the last 5 years, since starting Health Freedom Defense Fund in 2020, have learned the law, especially at the federal level, all around it. So I know the case law that supports the right to make unfettered medical choices for ourselves. And that means free of any kind of coercion, that we have a liberty interest. And this has been determined by the Supreme Court in refusing unwanted medical interventions. And so it was, me up there, but I mean, still, you're like standing in front of 11 people and you're being essentially cross-examined. And, um, and so they're, asking about pink eye and about, well, what about polio? Do you want to bring back polio?
Yeah, I want to bring it back. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
want. Yeah.
But then what was hilarious was that, of course, I know a lot about vaccines. And so I then would say,
Because
well,
of your film.
yes, because the film. And so then I would say, well, actually, I know that we've all been told that polio was stopped by the vaccine, but that's not actually strictly true. They redefined it, they changed the diagnostic criteria. And so I would then do my best to really educate, some might say school. um,
So you're starting from from the very fundamental issues
Yes,
that
yes,
many of us already know, or maybe don't
yes,
know as tightly as you do. But
yes.
so and you had to educate them in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and under a huge amount of pressure in an official state format, right? I'm in
Setting,
an
right.
official state proceeding
Yes,
forum,
yes.
so it's like it's a very, you have to follow the rules of parliament where basically someone asks you a question, they have to ask it through the chair asks you, you go back and you say, thank you, Mr. Chair, Representative so and
There's
so.
protocol, right,
Like there's
right.
all of this, these are the rules that you have to abide by. And if you deviate from them, you will be interrupted and you'll be reprimanded. And then, of course, that's like,
Yeah.
it's
It's not
not
second nature
normal.
to you. To them, it is. Yes, you're stepping into a different world.
Yeah,
But so basically, you're Joan of Arc, and you got the arrow out of your back, and just
exactly.
continue to
When they're
scale
like
that
pink
wall.
eye, and I'm
Yes,
like, what?
pink eye
Yes.
with
So
pink
let me
eye
just,
and an arrow
yeah.
and polio and super bugs. So this bill that you have authored and pushed through, and I wouldn't say that you pushed it through, you shepherded it through, wouldn't you say? I mean, what you're describing is that setting back and forth and the mediating, etc.
But
So
then what happened was, so this is crazy. So he vetoes it on a Saturday, and over the weekend, I talk with the original bill sponsor or we communicate and he says, I said to him, please do not move forward without changing any legislation. He said, listen, this is the plan or any language. We're going to go in, we're going to take a straw poll, see if we can override. If we can override the veto, then we're going to do that because we had a veto proof majority in the House. We weren't quite there on the Senate side. And so we were trying to figure out what to do. Well, so he's going through all these things on Monday morning and he had told me, I promise you that I will not change any language in the bill without your consent, and I will not move forward without your consent. Well, a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the House sponsor calls me and says, okay, so here's where we are. And he texts me images of a new bill that the senator had drafted, which carved out daycares,
ha, yes,
meaning
yes, I know
that
what you mean. Yes, go ahead,
meaning
please.
that everybody in Idaho, almost, except for hospital workers, which I regret, but it's federal law right now, and we need to change that. But everybody else would get medical freedom except for newborn babies and
And daycare centers.
children under the age of 3. And I literally, I saw this and I was like, no, 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 no bill is better than this bill. And I said, this is awful. I started texting the sponsor. I'm like, please do not move forward. This is awful in all caps. I'm like, I literally was freaking out. And I said, this is evil. I will not sacrifice our children in order to purchase the freedom of adults. This is outrageous.
Well put, Leslie. That's a real great distillation.
Well, he went and he presented the bill that afternoon in Senate committee anyway, after having told me that he didn't have to move forward. And then he called me late that night and he said, it's a good bill. It's still a good bill. It moves the ball. And I was just like, this is not a good bill.
Not good enough.
This is not a good bill. I will never, ever, ever use children as a human shield. I will never sacrifice our most innocent and vulnerable or use them as a chit. This is not acceptable. No. And then what happened was I heard from the House sponsor and House leadership, and they said, don't worry, it's not over. We're going to introduce our bill, our own bill. And their bill was identical to my bill without the daycare
Really?
carve out
Okay.
and with language calling the governor's bluff. So basically, we inserted one paragraph, which is what I had already provided to the original sponsor on Monday morning. All you have to do is put this in, call the governor out. We're in the driver's seat. We know that this is a complete fabrication. Call him out. Here you go. Here's the language. Anyway, so basically what happens is the House then introduces their bill. They introduce it in committee. They put it through the House on the Wednesday. And then, I mean, we're just up and down because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you're doing this. No, I'm going from like panic to elation, panic to elation, like what's going to happen? And we get it through the House, the good bill through the House. And the word comes very late on Wednesday night that the Senate won't hear the bill. It was just like you cannot imagine. But then what happened was the House speakers and leadership talked to us and said, what do you want to do? And so we really struggled over it, and we discovered other issues with it. I won't go into all the detail, but ultimately what ended up happening was it got to Friday morning, the last day of the session, and the session had been extended a week from the week before. So I think the governor thought that the session was going to end on Friday, and his hands would be clean because it wouldn't be until Saturday that the bill was there. And then he was like, well, I think it changes. The rules change after the session ends. So the last day of the session, it's April 3rd, and it's literally 6 o'clock in the morning. And I am just so distraught because I don't know what to do, if I should have them kill the bill or try and move forward. And I speak with the assistant majority leader of the House, and he just said, what do you want us to do? And I said, look, there's this new language that they've brought into this bill that says that children who are unvaccinated, healthy children who are unvaccinated can be excluded in the event of a disease outbreak. We don't know what a disease means or an outbreak means. Does that mean if other kids have pink eye, the healthy unvaccinated kids get excluded? What if they have colds? What does this mean? And he said, he's like, okay, let's literally 6:30 in the morning, we're on the phone and we are drafting new language, and we insert language that says that so let me explain. The Senate killed the House bill essentially, but the thing is the Senate had already approved the bad bill with the daycare carve out, but they were forced to take the daycare carve out, but we didn't know what they would do at the 11th hour. So Friday morning, it's now the House is in control. The Senate's already passed the bill. The House can edit the bill and then send it back to the Senate to concur or kill it and put it on the Senate's hands. Do you see? So in the morning, Friday morning, I'm speaking with this guy, with the Senate, the House Assistant Majority Leader, and he says, what do you want to do? And so we insert that no healthy unvaccinated person may be excluded in the event of any disease outbreak. There's nothing like that anywhere in the nation.
Anywhere in the country.
And then we insert something else, which says that this code may never be contradicted by the enactment of any new rules, regulations, or code promulgated by any state agency.
In perpetuity. That's what you did. You did it. You did it.
So the governor can declare an emergency. No state agency can implement anything to in any way infringe our rights.
My God, friends, are you hearing this? Do you understand what this is all about? Do you understand that this is the prototype for the entire country? In North America, Canada too, Europe. This is the prototype, Idaho.
Yeah. And let me just say, Joette, I just have to say this. All I can say is that we were so unbelievably aided by these white knights in the House who saw the long game, who strategized, and who literally stood by us. As soon as they saw what was going down and how we were being betrayed, they stood by me and my team, and they helped us until the very end. And so basically they put all this language in, and then they sent it to the Senate, and they talked to the Senate, and they said, listen, this is the deal. And then it was on the Senate to decide whether or not they were going to kill it. This very, very good bill that addressed the governor's concerns and was fantastic and was going to further health freedom. It was on their hands. And then they passed it. And then it was sent to the governor's desk that afternoon at I don't know, 4:30 or 4 o'clock. I forget what time it was. And then it was on the governor to decide. And so we were so aided by these white knights, and also, Joette, all power to God and all the glory to God, because I've given you literally 20% of what really happened.
I know.
And I just kept being told to trust me, trust. You need to trust. And every time I was so down and I didn't sleep for weeks, literally this whole process, it was just insane. There's no doubt in my mind that this, just like my movie and just like Health Freedom Defense Fund and the mask case and all the other wins that we've had, this is all due to the grace of God. And so, listen, I really fully believe if you believe in yourself and you believe in your mission and you put one foot in front of the other and you believe, things will happen.
It can be done.
Can be done against the greatest of odds. No one ever thought that this was even remotely possible. Literally, the government in Idaho and all businesses and all educational institutions are now prevented from ever discriminating against you on the basis of your health choices. How massive is that?
It's beyond comprehension.
Yeah,
After what the world has been through the last 5 years,
yeah.
beyond comprehension.
So, yeah.
Leslie, I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Mm.
I mean, I don't live in Idaho. I live in Florida. And who knows, maybe a group can get together and get this resolved in state by state by state. And I'm sure each one's slightly different, but they generally run and work in the same fashion.
Well, let me tell you what I'm doing on that, Joette.
Okay,
So,
please.
we've taken the bill and we've actually transformed it into a model bill.
Oh, gorgeous.
Okay. And then what we're doing is we're creating a kind of a FAQs about the bill and an overview of the bill. And we're actually creating a packet as well that will help states, state teams do it in their own state. So it's going to be a how-to. How do you talk to your legislators?
Where to begin?
How do you testify in committee? How do you take this bill and tailor it to your state? You know, how do you talk to your legislators about these issues? How do you, all these kinds of things. And so it's going to basically be a how to do it in your state. And we have, I mean, you can probably imagine I've had probably 4 different organizations reach out who want to collaborate with us on taking this to other states.
So this is what I would hope would come from tonight is that we could get more people involved in their states and connect with each other, which could be quite valuable. And I can see everybody coming in, and holy hallelujah, some people are saying. Truly a leader says Mrs. Her just name is Mrs. How do we get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of you and get a hold of this packet? And when do you think it will be available,
Well,
Leslie?
I had hoped that the packet was going to be available last week, but I was literally in bed all week.
I know you were.
And after the last several months of unbelievable, I mean, I live 3 hours from Boise, so every time I go down there, I basically
Oh,
have to spend
yeah.
the night, get up, testify. It's like a real, dog and pony show.
Yes.
And of course, you come out of these committee meetings and you're just like adrenaline pumping because you're standing for questions. It's very tense. I was up there for 40 minutes, I think, one day. Anyway, so we're going to get all this information. We're working on it. I wanted it up already, but it's not there. But I would say another week to 2 weeks at the most. And the best thing to do is just email us at info@healthfreedomdefense.org. And then
Can my team please jot that down? Say it again.
healthfreedomdefense.org. We're going to be posting this
Healthfreedomdefense.org.
stuff most likely on our resource page. And then we're
Okay.
also going to collaborate with, as I mentioned, at least one, if not a handful of organizations to try and achieve this. And let me just say, you mentioned about your hope for tonight. Joette, the solution, the true method to do this is people on the ground in every state.
Mhm.
It's not from me coming into your state and presenting to committee. That's not I mean, listen, am I happy to do that? Absolutely. But you need to do the legwork. That's
Boots
what
on the
needs,
ground, boots on the ground. There's no
that's
doubt
what it
about it.
is. It's
Yes,
educating your
yes,
legislators about why
yes,
this is
yes, yes,
necessary,
yes.
why it's valuable and why they should support it.
Let
So
me also say this is not that men can't do this. This is the ultimate of women's work. It really is. This is bringing mothering to a different level.
mm.
This is what women have always done. They've always worked in committees. They've always done the best to get things changed in their communities. And this is the kind of work that when a woman is finished raising her children, or even concomitantly, but finished raising her children, your son is now an adult. That this is we move further. We go to the next step and the next step and the next step. We never rest because we, as women and men too, but this is really something that's unique often to women.
And it's
Um,
very powerful, Joette, because you know why? Because we are speaking from the place of the mother.
yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
standing up there saying, how dare you?
You do this to 3-year-olds.
How dare you
Yep.
presume to know what is best for me or my child?
Mhm,
How
mhm,
dare you
mhm.
assert yourself into my role as a parent,
Mhm.
caregiver, or the person best positioned to determine what's best for my children. How dare you,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And you don't have
yes.
to say that.
No,
It's
it's,
implicit.
yes, 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 it is. You're a honey badger.
You've seen the videos about the honey badger,
Yes,
right?
I have. Nothing's going to deter that honey badger, especially when it comes to its young.
Oh, that is hilarious.
I know, it's so good. That's what you are. You are honey badger.
Yeah.
Uh, so you're in the academy, and I look forward to you inspiring other academy students. Not maybe this year, maybe, it doesn't have to be done immediately. And sometimes it has to marinate in our thinking. How much can I put forth? Who can I work with, perhaps to do this with? How can I organize committees? Maybe I'm not the one that goes before everyone. Maybe I'm the one who does the research, does the reading, goes through the bills, changes this, authors that.
But
There are many different positions in working like this.
let me say, there are also already organizations out there that you can join, so you don't have to lead it. There's
Mhm.
probably, there's already the Florida Health Freedom Coalition. There's
Yes,
already the Tennessee something or other.
yes.
There's already Stand for Health Freedom, which is one of the organizations that we're almost certainly going to be teaming up with. Stand for Health Freedom already has state directors and teams in every state. You join up with them. You are just going to be strengthening their
Mhm.
foundation that already exists.
Mhm.
And so there are these groups that are already out there. You join a Weston Price chapter. They have supported us in this. Heritage Action supported us. There were lots of local and state groups as well. I have to tell you guys something too. This is so fun. For those of you who are in Florida, you'll love this, Joette, but the bill was passed on a Wednesday, and then it got to the governor's desk on Monday morning, right? Well, he knew that the bill was coming to him Monday morning. So this is the, right after the bill's passed and the 5 days before he vetoes the bill. Governor DeSantis visited Idaho
Oh,
and he met with the legislature. And when he's meeting with the legislature, the governor is sitting right to his right. And he says, so many great things happening in Idaho. I just want to congratulate you on all the great legislation. I hear you just passed the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. That's fantastic. He basically, gave us a shout out. The governor is sitting right there, and he still had the gumption to go and veto it 5 days later, which I thought was pretty amazing. Just a little aside. So, I mean, this is like,
so it goes to show there is interest elsewhere. This is the time. This is the place. This is the moment in history.
yeah.
This is
The
we're
daycares, there's national daycares that want daycares excluded. That's what it was all about. There's a case before the Idaho Supreme Court that's going to be heard May 5th regarding whether daycares have to honor the exemption laws because daycares are private. May 5th, that's why they were doing it. They wanted that
um,
carve out. It had nothing to do with parental safety or anything like that. They were carving it out. It was an utter fabrication in order to give the court coverage to
oh,
find
oh, this
against
is
the
fascinating. Wow.
parents. That's what it was about. But you know
Wow.
what? We boxed him in through the help of the House leadership and their tenacity, essentially. And the thing is, you won't need to do this in other states now. It won't be nearly as bad because the dam is broken, right? It's always hardest to do the first time.
That's
It's
right.
like when someone does a triple flip on skis or something, or even the first flip on
That no
skis.
one has ever done before. And from that time
That's
forward, it's accepted that's what is done by all humans who do those triple flips. Yes.
exactly. Then it's like, oh, okay, it can be
Yeah, it can
done.
be done. Okay,
It's
so
like
I'm going to do it.
Roger Bannister breaking the 4 minute
Yes,
mile. After he
yes,
did it, everybody
exactly.
did it.
Exactly. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So,
Leslie, thank you, my love. It's the best.
so
You're the
it's
best.
literally the most one of, if not the most gratifying thing I've ever
Yes, I'm sure.
in my
I'm
life.
sure.
I
Yes,
literally sobbed and sobbed
I
and
know.
sobbed.
I know you, we were communicating. You were emailing me and I was,
Yeah.
I mean, I only knew bits and pieces. I
Yeah.
wasn't privy to
Yeah.
everything, but
And the
I loved
legislators,
being
let me tell
informed and
you, the
included.
House sponsor, he was sobbing too with all of us. And then if you go to my Twitter account, you can see a video. It's pinned to the top, I think, of the three of us um, uh, sobbing and basically just telling the experience of what happened. because it's only like 10 or 15 minutes, but it was literally right after the governor signed it. And we were still like, is it,
Is it
is that
real?
really happen? Is there something else? Is there another shoe to drop? Did we miss something? Did we mess up? Did we, but yeah, I mean, it's really truly a dream come true.
It is a dream come true. But my sense is that you're not finished.
Not even close, because it's always been my goal to establish this ethical principle
Mhm.
of health and medical freedom as a societal norm,
Mhm.
and then to codify that in law.
Mhm.
And one state is not enough.
No, it's not. No, no. We need 49 more.
Yep.
And then we need the provinces in Canada, and then we need the provinces in other countries. Yes, it's true. It's true. Yes, 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 yes. God bless you. Thank you for all your work, Leslie. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I'm hearing what everybody's saying. Amazing. It's still, this is great. Thank you. God has used you in a mighty way, says Pat from Grand Rapids. So those are the kinds of comments that I've glanced at from time to time. Thank you, Leslie, for meeting with us. And I want to hear more. I want to keep going with this. So as you move along, then we want to move along with you.
Now, are we doing Q&A or no?
No, we don't have, no, we
Okay.
can't do Q&A. No,
Okay.
because I'll tell you, but the Q&A will be here all night. So let's do it again. We'll do it again. Yes.
Sounds good. All
Yes.
righty.
All right. Take care. Bye
Yep.
now.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
So now you can go to your mighties.
Okay, folks, let's go to Mighty's. Stop streaming.